Learn English through the story of Albert Einstein's love life. Chapter 1. The First Love, Mileva Marić. The year was 1896, and Albert Einstein was a young man with wild hair and big dreams. He arrived at the Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich, ready to study physics and mathematics. There, he met Mileva Marić, a brilliant and serious woman from Serbia. She was one of the few women studying at the university, and Albert noticed her immediately. Mileva was quiet but sharp, with a passion for science that matched Albert's. They spent hours together, discussing books, theories, and the mysteries of the universe. Albert loved her intelligence and her determination to succeed in a man's world. Mileva admired Albert's creativity and his ability to see the world in new ways. As time passed, their friendship grew into something deeper. They took long walks by the river, sharing their dreams and fears. Albert wrote her letters, calling her his little witch and his dear little sweetheart. Mileva wrote back, calling him her darling and her beloved Johnny. But their love was not without challenges. Mileva's family did not approve of Albert, a poor student with no clear future. Albert's family also had doubts about Mileva, who was older and not Jewish. Despite these obstacles, Albert and Mileva promised to stay together. In 1902, they faced their biggest challenge yet. Mileva gave birth to their daughter, Liesl, while Albert was away working. The baby's fate remains a mystery, as she was never mentioned in their letters again. This loss brought them closer, but it also added to their struggles. In 1903, Albert and Mileva finally married in a small, quiet ceremony. They moved to Bern, where Albert worked at the patent office. Mileva supported him, helping with his research and typing his papers. Together, they dreamed of changing the world of physics. But life was not easy. Albert's work was demanding, and Mileva often felt lonely. She had given up her own dreams of becoming a scientist to support him. Albert, focused on his theories, sometimes forgot to show her the love she needed. Still, their love was strong, and they had moments of happiness. In 1904, their son Hans Albert was born, bringing joy to their lives. Albert would play his violin while Mileva listened, smiling. For a while, it seemed like their love could conquer anything. But as Albert's fame grew, so did the distance between them. He began to spend more time with colleagues and less time at home. Mileva felt left behind, her sacrifices unnoticed. The cracks in their marriage were starting to show. Yet, in those early years, Albert and Mileva shared a love that was real. They were two dreamers, united by their passion for science and each other. But as the world began to recognize Albert's genius, their love would face its greatest test. And so, the story of Albert Einstein's first love began to change, forever. Chapter 2. A Complicated Union, Family and Fame. Albert's life began to change in 1905, a year he called his miracle year. He published papers that would change the world of physics forever. Mileva was proud of him, but she also felt invisible. Her contributions to his work were rarely acknowledged. As Albert's fame grew, so did his time away from home. He traveled to conferences, met famous scientists, and gave lectures. Mileva stayed in Bern, taking care of their son, Hans Albert. She missed the days when they were equals, dreaming together. In 1910, their second son, Edward, was born. The family seemed happy, but tensions were growing. Albert was often distracted, lost in his thoughts and work. Mileva felt alone, raising two children while Albert pursued his dreams. Money was tight, and Albert's job at the patent office was not enough. He began looking for better opportunities, which meant more time away. Mileva supported him, but she longed for the life they once had. She missed the young man who wrote her love letters and called her his little witch. In 1911, Albert moved to Prague for a new job. Mileva and the children joined him, but the city felt strange and cold. Mileva struggled to adapt, while Albert thrived in his new role. The distance between them grew, not just in miles, but in their hearts. Albert's fame brought him new friends and admirers. He enjoyed the attention, often forgetting about Mileva at home. Mileva, once his partner in science, now felt like a stranger. She began to wonder if their love could survive. In 1912, Albert returned to Zurich for a new position. Mileva hoped this would bring them closer, but it did not. Albert was busier than ever, and Mileva felt more alone. Their arguments became more frequent, and their love grew colder. During this time, Albert reconnected with his cousin, Elsa Löwenthal. They had known each other as children, but now their bond grew stronger. Elsa was warm, cheerful, and admired Albert's genius. Albert found comfort in her company, something Mileva no longer gave him. Mileva noticed the change in Albert but said nothing. She focused on her children, trying to keep their family together, but the cracks in their marriage were too deep to ignore. Albert's heart was drifting away, and Mileva could not stop it. In 1914, Albert moved to Berlin for a prestigious job. Mileva and the children followed, but the move was a mistake. The city was tense, and their marriage was falling apart. Mileva felt like a stranger in her own home. One day, Albert gave Mileva a list of rules to follow. He wanted her to cook, clean, and stay out of his way. Mileva was heartbroken. She had given up so much for him. Now she was being treated like a servant, not a wife. In 1919, after years of struggle, Albert and Mileva divorced. Mileva returned to Zurich with their sons, heartbroken but strong. Albert married Elsa soon after, starting a new chapter in his life. But the love he once shared with Mileva would always remain a part of him. Their love story was complicated, filled with joy and pain. Mileva had been his first love, his partner, and his muse. But as Albert's star rose, their love faded into the shadows. And so, the story of Albert and Mileva came to an end. Chapter 3. A New Flame. Elsa Löwenthal. After his divorce from Mileva, Albert felt both free and lonely. He moved to Berlin, where his work and fame continued to grow. But his heart was restless, searching for something more. That's when he reconnected with his cousin, Elsa Löwenthal. Elsa was different from Mileva, warm, cheerful, and full of life. She admired Albert's genius and made him feel appreciated. Albert found comfort in her company, something he had missed for years. Their bond grew stronger, and soon their friendship turned into love. Elsa was a widow with two daughters, Ilse and Margot. She welcomed Albert into her family, and he became like a father to them. Albert enjoyed the simplicity of their life together. It was a fresh start, a chance to leave the past behind. In 1919, Albert and Elsa married in a small, quiet ceremony. Elsa was proud to be the wife of the world's most famous scientist. She took care of Albert, managing his home and his busy schedule. Albert, in return, gave her the stability and love she had longed for. Life with Elsa was different from life with Mileva. Elsa was not a scientist, but she understood Albert's needs. She made sure he had time to work and time to relax. Albert enjoyed playing his violin while Elsa listened, smiling. As Albert's fame grew, so did their social life. They traveled the world, meeting famous people and giving lectures. Elsa loved the attention and the glamour of their new life. Albert, though shy, enjoyed seeing the world through her eyes. But their marriage was not without challenges. Albert was often lost in his thoughts, forgetting about Elsa's needs. Elsa, though patient, sometimes felt like she was living in his shadow. She wanted more from their marriage, but Albert was hard to reach. During this time, rumors of Albert's affairs began to surface. He had relationships with secretaries, admirers, and even friends. Elsa knew about these rumors but chose to ignore them. She loved Albert and believed their bond was stronger than any affair. One of the most talked about rumors was about Betty Newman. Betty was Elsa's secretary, and Albert grew close to her. Elsa, though hurt, did not confront Albert. She focused on keeping their family together, no matter the cost. Despite the challenges, Albert and Elsa shared many happy moments. They traveled to America, where Albert was treated like a celebrity. Elsa enjoyed the attention, and Albert enjoyed making her happy. For a while it seemed like their love could withstand anything. But as the years passed, Albert's heart began to wander again. He was a man who loved freedom, and marriage sometimes felt like a cage. Elsa, though patient, began to feel the strain of their relationship. She loved Albert deeply, but she also knew he was hard to hold on to. In 1936, Elsa became seriously ill. Albert stayed by her side, caring for her until the end. When she passed away, Albert was heartbroken. Elsa had been his companion, his supporter, and his friend. After Elsa's death, Albert felt a deep sense of loss. He had loved her in his own way, though not always perfectly. Their marriage had been a mix of love, patience, and compromise. And now, with Elsa gone, Albert was alone once more. The story of Albert and Elsa was one of love and loyalty. Elsa had given Albert the stability he needed during his rise to fame, but their love was also a reminder that even geniuses are human. And so the story of Albert's second love came to an end. Chapter 4. Whispers of Other Women. After Elsa's death, Albert found himself alone once again. But his heart, always restless, soon began to wander. Rumors of his affairs had followed him for years. Now, with Elsa gone, those whispers grew louder. One of the most talked about relationships was with Margarita Konenkova. Margarita was a Russian spy who was sent to get close to Albert during World War II. She was beautiful, intelligent, and knew how to capture his attention. Albert, lonely and vulnerable, found comfort in her company. Their relationship was secret, known only to a few. Margarita's husband, a famous sculptor, was often away. Albert and Margarita spent hours together, talking and laughing. For a while, Albert forgot about his loneliness and his grief. But their relationship was complicated. Margarita had a mission, and Albert was her target. She wanted information about the atomic bomb, which Albert was working on. Albert, though brilliant, was unaware of her true intentions. When the war ended, Margarita returned to Russia. Albert never saw her again, but their letters remained. Years later, their relationship became public, shocking the world. It was a reminder that even geniuses can be fooled by love. Another woman in Albert's life was Toni Mendel. Toni was a wealthy widow who admired Albert's work. She offered him comfort and companionship during a difficult time. Albert enjoyed her company, but their relationship was short-lived. Toni wanted more from Albert than he could give. She hoped for marriage, but Albert was not ready to commit again. Their relationship ended quietly, with no hard feelings. Toni remained a friend, but Albert's heart was elsewhere. There were other women, too, whose names are lost to history. Secretaries, admirers, and friends who briefly captured Albert's attention. He was a man who loved freedom, and marriage often felt like a cage. But his relationships were always complicated, filled with joy and pain. Albert's affairs were not just about love or passion. They were also about his search for connection and understanding. He was a man who saw the universe in new ways. But when it came to love, he was often lost and confused. Despite his affairs, Albert never forgot the women he loved. Mileva, Elsa, and even Margarita held a special place in his heart. Each relationship taught him something about love and life, but none could fill the emptiness he sometimes felt inside. As Albert grew older, he began to reflect on his life. He realized that love, like science, was a mystery. It could not be solved with equations or theories. It had to be felt, experienced, and sometimes let go. The whispers of other women would always follow Albert. They were a part of his story, just like his genius and his flaws. But in the end, Albert's heart remained a puzzle, even to himself. In his later years, Albert Einstein lived a quieter life. He settled in Princeton, New Jersey, far from the chaos of Europe. His hair was white, his face lined with age, but his mind was still sharp. He spent his days working on his theories and thinking about the universe. But even in his old age, Albert's heart was not at rest. He had loved many women, but none had fully understood him. Mileva had been his partner in science, but their love had faded. Elsa had been his companion, but her death left him alone. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein passed away. The world mourned the loss of a genius, but also a man who had loved, lost, and searched for meaning in life. His legacy was not just his theories, but also his humanity. And so, the story of Albert Einstein's love journey came to an end. It was a story of brilliance and imperfection, of love and loss, a reminder that even the greatest minds are shaped by their hearts, and that love, in all its forms, is what makes us truly human. What do you think about Einstein's love life? Was he a man who loved too freely, or was he simply searching for a connection he could never find? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that explore the lives of history's most fascinating figures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.